Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing excellent. So today we're working on the FC again. I'm happy to be back working on this girl. So basically what I'm trying to do is finish my homework that was assigned to me from the guys at Lucky 7 so we can get her back on the dyno and get the tune finished up. If you didn't check out the last video, we did make it back to dyno day. We got some timing issues fixed, which allowed the car to start cooling itself properly. And we ran into a few snags on the dyno day, some of which I've already fixed at the end of that video, but some of them still need to be dealt with. So the main one, well, let me just tell you, we got 387 on the dyno compared to the 404 we got before. So obviously there's something missing there, and that's from a boost leak somewhere up in here. So one of the objectives is going to be to take off the front bumper. I want to do some modifications to it because if you can see, it's not fitting that well. This bumper has been through a lot and repaired it multiple times, so it could be due to that, but I think it's also because I have it pushed up against the intercooler piping, which comes down here. And I think that if I clearance this a little bit better and maybe move the piping a little bit, even cut it to length, because I have a bead roller now, we can get that to fit a little bit better. And it's on the intercooler there, so I'm going to mark that so I can modify the bumper some more. And then what we're going to do is do a boost leak test on the piping and see where the boost leak is coming from, because what was happening was as we were building boost to get to those final numbers, it was starting to trail off, which is not something that happened before. Same wastegate controller, so that should be what's going on there. And then back here, this is where I already remedied the fuel pump wiring situation, but you'll see here, I'm going to be draining the tank. So this is a lead I have coming off so I can jumper the fuel pump, get most of it out, then I'll get underneath and drain the rest of it because there's a lot of rust in the tank and I was just going through fuel filters way too quickly. So I've got gallons of this evaporust product we're going to let sit in there and then rinse it out and then dry the tank thoroughly. We're going to be able to keep it in the vehicle for that procedure, which will be nice, to eliminate most of that rust, and then that will help a lot. So right now I'm just going to get in there, jumper the fuel pump, and fill a bunch of these tanks full of gas. Okay, let me show you why we're digging all the way back in here, because let's see, I don't know why I didn't notice this when I changed the fuel pump, but good Lord. So yeah, we want to get rid of that stuff. It's mostly on the bottom, so I think I have enough evaporust to get that taken care of. All right, so gas tank is being treated. We've got everything doing its magic in there. One thing I'm not sure if I said earlier, because it's been a few hours, is that the fuel level sender died on me, so I have a new one of those coming tomorrow, so good time to get in the fuel tank. Got the bumper off, got rigged up some kind of pressure testing. So down here I have the intake off. I have this conveniently sized can of solar flux clamped in there to make one end. This is a breather connection that goes to this bypass air control valve, and I have this hose nozzle shoved in here with this kind of grommet, and it seems to be working well. I have no air coming out of here, so if I squeeze it, you can hear, and I'm hoping that noise is the air passing through the throttle body. But if not, we're going to find out where it's escaping from. So just want to make sure there's no air coming out of the BAC. So I think I already found what's going on. This line here, we pulled off the fuel pressure regulator because it was giving a bad source for vacuum. And it worked better once we got the new vacuum source on there, but it has definitely got air coming out of it. So this could be the source of our boost leak, or at least part of it. So I'm going to plug this one up first, and then we're going to use the soapy bubble trick to test all of our couplers all the way around. Alright, so I got that taken care of back there. There's also a split vacuum cover back there, but we got that zip tied on. But I think I found the biggest source of the problem. You spray some soapy water here and hit some air for you. Oh boy. So there's a gasket here. I'm just gonna go ahead and RTV that up and reinstall this BAC, and then hopefully that should take care of that next problem. Okay, so I just finished chasing down all the bubbles that I could. Had a few leaks here, had RTV'd the gasket here for the bypass air control. That's working. Got all the nipples behind the throttle body tested, and there was actually a pretty good leak from right here, so just tighten this. And there was a leak from right here, which is as a turbo compressor outlet into this pipe, and I just didn't have quite the right type of T-clamp for it, so I just put a more traditional sturdy hose clamp on there, which is more adjustable, and got that tightened down. So now the boost leaks are gone, and if we have boost leaks, that also means that we had vacuum leaks. So hopefully the idle stabilizes more. With this taken care of, when we go up for the tune to be finished, like, everything will be better. We'll be able to hit boost to make the power, but also as he's tuning in the bypass air control valve and everything we need to make the car just run better and perform better just for street driving and everything, it's going to be so much better. So got that taken care of. I actually already trimmed up the bumper off camera, just clearanced it more to go back on. So hopefully that fits a little bit nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this on, and then it's technically my day off, but I had to go into work this morning, so I think I'm just going to call it a night. Probably use the hours I did this morning to leave early tomorrow, and drain the fuel tank after it's sat for 24 hours with the evaporust in there. And then we should be good to go, because also that fuel level sender should be here, so we can be, boom, up and running, and then we are already ready to return to the dyno. All right, guys, let me tell you what. We had a lightning storm last night like we never have around here. I was down here putting the bumper and fenders and all that back together, putting the wheels on, and this lightning bolt struck. It was the loudest, brightest thing. Shocked me, ears ringing, and the power went completely out, dark, completely black in here. So yeah, obviously stopped working, but we needed to let the Rust-Oleum Evaporust sit longer. It's now been in there for about 24 hours, and it was kind of crowded down here with all this stuff. But you can see in there, it's kind of murky, but I'm hoping when we drain this out, we got basically a clean tank. We do need to rinse it out with water afterwards, and then let it dry, and then get gasoline in there right away. So we have the fuel jugs. So I'm gonna get this draining, and we'll see what it looks like. All right, so we just finished draining. If you look in there, you can see a clear line where it reached up to. We got all the important stuff. So now I'm gonna go ahead and shove my shop vac down in there, suck up the remainder that's not coming out of that little fuel baffle, and then we're gonna start rinsing. So nothing too exciting. I'll just show you when we're ready to go, but yeah. This definitely did the trick. It's basically exactly what we needed. Okay, I just have to say, it's by no means brand new or as good as a professional out-of-the-car tank cleaning. I'm not saying that, but for what I was going for, just to get it so that I wasn't putting my fuel injectors at danger, or rather that I'm not overusing my fuel filters, because this stuff will, you know, clog it up so quick, and then it's just a lot of money to keep changing it. But let me show you. So you saw it before. I rinsed it with hot water, and now, I mean, you can see a little bit of the surface rust down in there, but all the chunks came loose. All that little like pitting and stuff on the sides came out of there, and I think we are good to go. So I just finished vacuuming it out. It's still a little wet. Gonna hit it with some compressed air to give it some drying time, and then fill it with gas so we don't have any of this rust come back. Okay, so it's time to jumper the fuel pump again, make sure I have no leaks, and then additionally take a look at the gauge on the fuel filter and see if what I'm doing helps, or if it suddenly just goes meh, dirty. But then I'll have to get a new element, no big deal. But let's jumper this fuel pump. So I'm gonna take this fuse, and let's stick the fuse right. Go. She's moving. No leaks there. Let's see what the fuel filter thinks. So the fuel is just circulating right now. Fuel filter thinks it's toasted. Yep, but I think that happened before I did any of this actually. So I did run another experiment. I used the Evaporust, I'm doing it on another one I have here, to soak it and see if since it's mainly rust from the tank, if I can reuse one of these. So I have another one over here that I already let dry, and you can see that the filter element is all white again. So I think I'm going to be able to reuse this. So I'll pop this in the fuel filter, see if that helps, and I'll get back to you. Cool, so that definitely worked, which is awesome. So I took that old fuel filter out that had been running with the rusty fuel, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but down there, peeking in, I have my fuel filter. Here, let me upside down and I'll edit it. Right in there. Has a little gauge on it. Okay, so when it's over to the right, it's all used up. So this is a used fuel filter that I just soaked in Evaporust, and now it is reading pretty much in the middle again, which is just fine. That's gonna work really well. And the fuel is just circulating, and it's not moving like it's getting dirty, which is good, because I'm worried, of course, what I did in the tank, if I didn't rinse it good enough, or if it kicked up some other stuff. But it is holding steady right there, which is wonderful. So I am still going to let it run for a while. Obviously going to need to hook up a battery charger while I get the car down on the ground, and then test drive time. Not sure where I left off, but just in case I'm making a fresh start to the video, basically doing our homework for repairs to get back to the dyno. I tried to de-rustify the fuel tank and with it in the car. So I filled it with Evaporust, let it rinsed it out, filled it with gas, let it dry, filled it with gas, started to run the car. It looked good, but once I got out on the road and things shook around in the fuel tank, the fuel filter immediately clogged up so bad that I wasn't able to get fuel, and it actually twisted and crushed it from the pressure, which is fantastic because this fuel filter, this ID 750F fuel filter, does not let anything through. Saves my injectors many times, which are very expensive, 1700cc ethanol compatible injectors. But point is, it is still full of rust. So a ton of rust came out when I rinsed it. You can see evidence of that down here. So the good news is it got a lot of the rust loose. Bad news is it didn't get all out. I was avoiding having to drop the tank, but I'm working on that right now. A couple days off coming up, and I think I'll be able to take care of what I need to take care of. I'm going to take it to the side yard, pressure wash the hell out of it, let it dry, and then we'll get it back in there and we should be good to go. We also chased down some boost leaks in the front piping. I took the bumper off, reinstalled the bumper, and I also got over here, my workspace is a little messy, but I have this awesome Deutsch connector, but it is the big gauge, so it'll fit 10 gauge wires in these connectors. So we're going to make a nice harness for our fuel pump. Cool thing about this is there's actually 4 spaces, so if I need to run 2 fuel pumps in the future, there will be space to do that. And I got a new fuel level sender, brand new from Atkins Rotary, so this one will be able to make the fuel gauge work again. So right now I got to drain the fuel, pull the fuel pump again, get the tank dropped, and then I'll continue on with my fun project. Alright, so I worked through the evening, got the new connection right here on the fuel pump power wires. I needed to run one more wire to ground the body of this for the new fuel pump, or excuse me, fuel level center, which is installed. Got some wires ran out here, got the end terminated in here as well. Looks great, nice and thick. And the fuel tank is over here getting more de-rusted, so I let it soak overnight, keep moving it around so we can get the nice Evaporust product in different areas of the tank, and pretty soon I'm going to be ready to just power wash this probably for hours.
Start it up.
After doing that for a few hours, really got a ton of junk out of the fuel tank. So right now, this is forcing air in just to dry it out completely. You can see some of the remnants. This all came out of the tank. So it's looking much better in there. Feel pretty good about this level of cleaning. So you'll let that dry. In the fuel pump arena, fuel level sender is installed. I actually already tested it. It's working really well. Well, it's either working or not working, but it reads fuel level correctly. And what I did is I went ahead and spliced some of the wires here, grounded it, and then I brought them out. And this is actually the stock harness. The fuel pump power is missing, but this plugs right in, and got that wired up so you can plug it right in. Once I'm sure all the lengths are good, we'll wrap that in some Tessa tape, make it look nice. So this is good and ready to go. One other thing I do have to work on that I forgot to mention, well I mentioned but I forgot to say I'm working on it, is the channel for the fuel pressure was not working for the Haltech system. So that's an AVI input. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check for continuity on the sensor ground, the 5-volt reference, and the AVI channel. See if I can find something wrong, because it'd be nice to just fix it. But I'm also going to go ahead and pull through a spare input from the extra wires in the Haltech through here with sensor ground and 5-volt. So if we just need to pin out a new connector and assign it, we have that ready to go. And I'm going to get to work on that now. Time to get this back up underneath, and then we're on the home stretch as far as that goes. This is a pain in the butt. I'm trying to do it by myself, so I'm going to use some jacks, and hopefully I can get it up in there. Obviously this video, I haven't spent much time filming me actually working on this stuff, just kind of the direct results of what I've been doing. And maybe that's the best way to shoot these videos, because some of these things I've done before, I'm just redoing them. But again, I'm trying to be as efficient as possible while making a video, because we want to get back up to the dyno, because once we're back to the dyno, the car's tuned, we can drive it, we can actually do more exciting stuff. So anyway, what's not exciting is putting the fuel tank back in. Do I look dirty? Do I look frustrated? It's because I am, but the fuel tank is back in. That is such a terrible job. I hate it, but it is done for now. I also went ahead and put the fuel hanger back in, sitting down there. It's all installed. Wiring's not hooked up, because what we need to do is go ahead and purge the lines just in case, since we're working on this, because of all the crap that was in them. So what I need to do is pull the feed line off of here, and then put a little jumper out and spray some fuel out of there. So now I get to do that fun job. Alright, fuel is purged. Fuel is now circulating through the system with just the pump jumpered. The fuel gauge, the what am I trying to say? This thing right here, fuel filter gauge, is at the best point it's been since I got the car. I think, dare I say, that we've finally done it for that one portion. So I'm going to go ahead, and as you can see from the light on my face, the sun is starting to set. It's been another long day. So I am going to work on pulling that channel for the fuel pressure sensor at a later time, probably just tomorrow. But I'm tired and I'm frustrated. Although I feel successful right now, I'm frustrated with how hard today was. I'm absolutely filthy. And I just want to get this car in the ground, maybe start it up, maybe drive it around the block. And I'll be back shortly. Alright, so it's a few days later. I've been driving the car around just to make sure all the edits I've made are working, and they are. The fuel filter still reads full clean, which means the tank is no longer putting a bunch of junk into the fuel system. She's running better. So far we've fixed all those boost leaks. We got the fuel pump running better with better wiring, fixed the fuel filler gauge, and we got the fuel actually flowing through the system better without any interruptions and no restrictions at the fuel filter. Because as I saw when I ran it and the fuel filter crumpled, like if that fuel filter starts to get clogged, it's going to have more difficulty getting fuel. So I'm excited to see how the tune goes. We're going to start right back from 0, get the 91 in there, and then move to E85, so that's all exciting, and we'll see how the power comes out. Now, as far as pulling through the wires, I've done that here, so it's a little rough right now because I might need to change something, but basically I have pulled through a new 5-volt sensor reference, a new analog voltage input, and spliced in and got another sensor ground from the ECU from the 5-volt system. I'm going to insulate these and leave them up here. This is actually going to the oil pressure sensor harness, which we just switched to run off of this. So right now I'm just using the gauge in my car, which obviously we can't have that forever because we need to have the Haltech be able to read oil pressure. So if there's some catastrophic failure, it shuts down the engine or something like that. Actually, if there's a failure of any kind, spring a leak, line blows, it reads the drop in oil pressure and stops the engine so that we don't have a catastrophic failure with the engine blowing up. So that's important. And then also over here, we have whatever's going on with this, I'm not sure, but this is the pre-terminated part of the harness for fuel pump. So the reason I'm not pinning those out is we may need to use some combination of the analog voltage input from there and maybe the ground, etc., but we have some extras, and then we can just terminate that if we need to. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to get those wires tucked away and insulated, shoot an email to Lucky7, see if we can get back on dyno day, and just take this girl for a spin because she does drive pretty well. Although she does overboost now because there's no boost leak, so if I have to merge into traffic, I have to be very careful, because if I just hit the pedal, it'll just go to 20 psi, bounce off, and then it goes in limp mode because it's not fully set up. So anyway, we'll go for a nice drive. It's looking nice outside. Sounds good. She's working good. Working good. What a nice, beautiful day to be going for a drive. Days like these where you gotta remember, when they ask you, tell them you want more.